Hello, everyone. I'm very excited because today is the day that we start writing our MCAS ELA long compositions. All right, let's dive right in and see what we have to do. So this is a tool that you see on your screen that we're going to be using to make sure that we are getting to each piece of the long composition. So not only each paragraph that we need to write, but also making sure that we have each of the pieces that we need to include in each paragraph. So you see here that this is a tool that's used for us to learn how to organize our thoughts in an outline for our long composition. You will not be provided with a copy of this when you do the long composition, so it's important for you to be prepared to draw it out yourself on scrap paper so that you can organize your thoughts before you start all of your writing of the essay. So here we see that we have a box for my introductory paragraph, which includes an intro and then the thesis. After that, we have a space for each body paragraph 1, 2, and 3, and a spot for the claim sentence, evidence, and again, the evidence is what's in the text, what actually happens in the story, but I'm writing it from memory during the long comp, and then my analysis of the evidence. And then we finish off with our concluding paragraph, our conclusion. Now, the good news is that we already started a lot of this work last week when we were doing our graphic organizers. You probably remember my example here. So you already started this work. Now we're just going to build on it. So let's talk about the differences. Here, when I did my graphic organizer last week, I had my prompt, which I color-coded each part of the prompt to make sure I addressed it in my graphic organizer. And then I have my thesis statement. And then, as you remember, I have my evidence and details, 3 sets of evidence and details, and 3 sets of explanation. And those are the 3 body paragraphs. And then I have my conclusion. So I'm thinking to myself, what piece is missing? Well, I have my thesis, but if I look back here, I don't have my introduction to my introductory paragraph. So the intro paragraph is not just my thesis. I need to set some context, give some background, and then show my thesis. And let's think about what else is different. Well, here I have evidence and details, which again tells exactly what happened in the story, as you remember. And I have my explanations of those evidence and details, but I don't have my claim, which is my topic sentence for each of the body paragraphs. And that claim sentence connects back again to my thesis. So that's a piece that I'm going to have to add in also. So to start, I'm going to copy my thesis into my new graphic organizer. So I'm going to put it down here. And then I'm going to come back to the intro. And I'm also going to copy my evidence and details and my explanation. In my thesis, I'll read it aloud again. Katniss Everdeen in The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins is a character whose life is affected by her single act of choosing to take her sister Prim's place in the Hunger Games. Katniss's life is affected by that single act because she saves her sister's life and becomes a national hero in the districts. Katniss's experience relates to the work as a whole because she changes how the Hunger Games rules work and helps to bring hope to people in the districts who had not had hope for a long time. So really what I'm talking about here is if I'm thinking about it more broadly, I'm thinking about one person, or it could be a small group of people, making a sacrifice for one person or a small group of people, and that having an impact and consequences that are much bigger than just that one person or small group of people. So I can think about other examples that I've either read in other works of literature or examples from history where that might be true, and make that connection to the bigger context of sacrifice. This is the decision that Katniss made. She made a decision, her single act of sacrificing her safety and putting herself at risk for her sister Prim. So another example that I can think of in this is a book that I read called The Diary of Anne Frank. And in that situation, there was a family that took a risk, just like Katniss, to protect Anne and her family from being discovered by the Nazis and Nazi Europe. So I'm going to actually use that as an example when I'm writing my introduction because I'm talking about this type of theme as a whole. So I will say, and that is going to be the beginning of my intro because then I can connect it to my thesis. Katniss Everdeen in The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins is a character whose life is affected by her single act of choosing her to take her sister Prim's place in the Hunger Games. Katniss's life is affected because she becomes a national hero. So you can see how I start by setting context and giving some background information and making it more general. And then I connect it to Katniss in this book in particular. And I'm actually going to take out the title here because this is not my, or the author, this is not my thesis statement. So I do need to make sure that I include both the title and the author in my thesis statement, but I don't have to do it again up above. That feels a little repetitive. So I just took that part out. So now I have my introduction. Now let's go down to the body paragraphs. And again, I need to make a claim or a topic sentence that connects my analysis and my explanation and the evidence, the analysis, and explanation to the thesis as a whole. So my evidence for body paragraph 1 is that when Katniss volunteers for Prim, all the residents of her district give her the 3-finger salute as a sign of admiration instead of clapping for Katniss and Peeta as the representative from the Capitol asked them to. So when I'm thinking about the story, I'm thinking about this is the moment that Katniss is making that act, that choice, that has an impact on her life and the story as a whole. So in order to connect that in a topic sentence that's going to relate to my thesis, I'm thinking about this, that the impact on Katniss's life and the impact on the story as a whole was very immediate. It started right then, right the moment when she made the decision. So that's how I'm going to write my topic sentence, my claim. So I'm going to edit this here. And I'm going to write it in here. So I'm going to say that as Katniss's life and the work as a whole are immediately impacted the moment that Katniss takes action and makes her decision. So here I'm talking about the fact that it's starting right away, and I can give evidence to that. Okay? And that connects to my thesis because it talks about how it impacts her life and the work as a whole. And so then I have my evidence and my analysis. So now let's look at body paragraph 2. My evidence here is that while Katniss was in the game, so again, the evidence is just talking about what's happening in the book. While Katniss was in the games as a result of volunteering for Prim, her new friend, Rue, from District 11 was killed. Katniss decorated Rue's body with flowers so that the cameras in the arenas would be forced to show that sign of respect when the body was taken away. She also looked directly into the camera and gave the 3-finger salute. District 11 gave the salute back in response. And then my analysis talks about how Katniss uses that attention she's getting from the games to bring hope to the districts. So here what we are seeing is that Katniss is using the attention that she's getting from the games to continue to bring hope to the people of the districts. So here I'm going to say that Katniss's new life circumstances. So she's now in the Hunger Games. These are very new life circumstances. And these life circumstances are a direct result of her choosing to take her sister's place in the Hunger Games. Circumstances would not be happening if she had not made that choice, right? So Katniss's new life circumstances that came as a result of her action to take Prim's place allow her to, let's see, she's getting a lot of attention. So she's gaining a bigger audience. To gain a larger audience and have a broader impact across districts, not just her own. So here I'm talking about, again, going back to my thesis, that decision that she made, I'm talking about it again, I'm going to talk about it each paragraph, and what the consequences of that decision were. So her new life circumstances, her being in the games, being on television in the games, means that she now has a huge audience in different districts, and she can have a bigger impact, not just in her own district, District 12, but in others too. Okay, now I'm going to look at the third one. Here's my evidence. At the end of the Hunger Games, when Katniss and Peeta were the only two tributes left, Katniss encouraged Peeta to eat the poison berries with her so that there would be no victor, instead of one of them having to kill the other. The Capitol then changes the rules of the games, and both Katniss and Peeta become victors, changing their lives forever. So this is the culminating moment, and she sees how she has a significant impact on the games because the Capitol, she's unwilling to compromise her values for the Capitol. And that means that she's able to engage in an ultimate act of rebellion. So let's see. This is already towards the end of the book. So she's already had some experience. She's already gotten to be a hero to the districts. Now she is being a hero on a whole new level. So I'm going to say, once Katniss was already a hero in the districts because of her action to take part in the Hunger Games instead of Prim. She then engages in the ultimate act of heroism in being once again willing to sacrifice herself in order to take power away from the Capitol and help all people in all the districts. So there you go. My claim, my topic sentence for the third body paragraph, again connects to the prompt and the thesis. It talks about, again, her decision to stand in for Prim and how that makes her a hero in different ways to all of the districts. And it connects back to the three parts of the prompt. Today, you are going to be working in breakout rooms on beginning to write your own long composition. So you should use the graphic organizer that you worked on last time and now add in your introduction and your claims, just like I did, to make sure they connect to your evidence and analysis and your conclusion. The good news is that once you finish this part, you have basically written your long composition, and the only thing that's left to do at that point is to review it and make revisions, and then you're done. You've got the intro with the thesis, the 3 body paragraphs with claim, evidence, and analysis, and your conclusion. That is the whole long comp. You are so close to practicing this and getting it done. Let's see how you do in breakout rooms with your partners.